Hi everyone, my name is Sian and today I am here to bring you a review of The Shadow Sister by Lucinda Riley. So this video was kindly sponsored by Pan Macmillan, but it's obviously all of my own opinions and my own views. In anticipation of the release of the newest book in the Seven Sisters series, The Pearl Sister, Pan Macmillan kindly asked me and 3 other YouTubers to review a book each from the series and tell you guys our opinions on it. I don't have enough hands to hold each of the books up. So the other YouTubers who are each reviewing a book from the series are Sarah Jane, Sarah Churchill and Hannah. I will leave a link to each of their channels and their videos down below if you want to go and check those out. So the Seven Sisters series is a series that is based on 6 sisters who were each adopted by a billionaire father, and sadly he passes away. And on his passing away he leaves each of them a clue about where they came from and basically about their history and their heritage. One of the cool things about this series is that you don't have to read it in publication order. You can read any book at any point in the timeline. It doesn't matter if you pick up the book that was last published or the book that was first published first. You can genuinely pick up any one and you're good to go. The Shadow Sister follows Star, who is probably the quietest and the shyest out of all of the sisters. She has a very close relationship with her other sister Cece, and she has spent most of her life in Cece's shadow. She's always been willing to let Cece talk for her and just generally goes along with whatever Cece wants to do, regardless of how it affects her or her life, or whether in actual fact it's something that she actually wants to do. Basically, in the beginning of the book, Star realises that she's not happy with how her life is, and she's put off opening her father's envelope and the letter that he wrote her, until one day she just decides, do you know what, I've had enough, I need to do this, I need to live a life that's for me. So she opens her father's letter, she reads his letter and discovers that her story starts in a second-hand bookshop. So she travels to the bookshop and the story goes on from there. So each of the books have dual time narratives. They've got the present day where you're with the sister that the book is about, and then it's about 100 years in the past where it's related to a character that plays a key part in the sister's history and where you find out key details about the sister's history and where she's come from. My past tense was based around Flora, who is a headstrong, fabulous character who is around the time where women are meant to marry, they're meant to have a certain lifestyle, and she ain't about that life. Flora is happy to be alone. Flora is happy not to marry. She doesn't feel like she needs to marry to validate herself. She feels happy and secure in her home in the Lake District, partly because her neighbour is Beatrix Potter. However, things happen in Flora's life that lead her to the City of London, where she discovers that she is essentially a part in a bigger game. She is a pawn in other people's games. She basically has to go along with rules that she has no idea about. I really actually enjoyed this book. It did start off really quite slow for me. I think that was partly because Star was so shy in the beginning and unsure of herself that it definitely come across in her narrative. But as soon as I hit the past tense of Flora, I was hooked. I definitely enjoyed the past tense writing more than I enjoyed the present. Star as a character, I found her to be quite shy and she almost let other people dictate what happened in her life, but she did obviously have character development as the book went on, which was quite enjoyable to read in the end. I definitely related to Star on a level where she felt like she was in her sister's shadow. I kind of know how that feels like, and just doing things to make other people happy as opposed to doing things that actually are going to make you happy. However, I probably related to Flora more on a personality level. Flora was the kind of person that I want to be. She has such a love for nature and animals and books. I mean, both characters adore books, which is wonderful, you know. You want to read characters that love books. But Flora was just, she was such a headstrong character that was happy with her life. This book made me realise that I probably would really enjoy historical fiction, because I loved reading about all of the coming out parties and just the way that Edwardian London was, and with the king and the twists and turns that happened in Flora's life. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and the writing felt much more natural in the past tense than it did in the present tense, and the characters just felt more, they felt so realistic, even though it was set in a time where I have like, I could not relate to any of it at all, but I could relate to Flora, and I just rooted for her, and I wanted Flora to have a happy ending. All I wanted was for Flora to be happy. So even though Star's story did start out a little bit slow for me, as it progressed and as she met new characters and formed new friendships and kind of started to step out from her sister's shadow, I slowly warmed to her more and recognised more of myself in her. And it was good to see her putting herself first and chasing her past and trying to figure out where she came from and how Flora's story related to her, because her father's letter doesn't give her, like, he doesn't say this is who you're related to, this is your past. It gives her clues. Obviously there were a few twists and turns in this book. A couple I did guess, they were fairly obvious to me, but there were a couple that I did spend most of my time going, what is going on here? Why can't I figure out what is going on? I think the thing that this book most concentrated on was relationships and family relationships, especially because Star and Flora are both have such a fierce love for their sisters, Star for Cece and Flora for Aurelia. And it was wonderful reading both of them, because Star was obviously the quieter sister, whereas Flora was the more outspoken, kind of odd sister, I suppose, in the time setting, in the time period that she was from. And there was such wonderful friendships as well in this book. It was just people wanting people to be happy, and obviously there was certain elements of drama which kept the story interesting. I'd say on a whole I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars, partly because I wanted to read more about Flora than I did about Star, but that's only because I found Flora so interesting. Star's parts got more interesting as her journey went on and as she became more strong and believed in herself more. I got through it a lot quicker than I thought I would because it's quite a chunky one, but as soon as it started hitting the past tense I just flew through it. I couldn't put it down. I was so invested in the characters, and I think being invested in the past characters then got me invested in Star and her story, because I wanted to know how she fit in to Flora's story and where she came from and what her heritage was. I definitely recommend this book to a lot of you if you enjoy historical fiction. There is a lot of really good historical fiction elements to it. I think I might recommend it to my Nana as well, because I feel like this is a book that she'd really enjoy. But I'll also leave links to where you can purchase the books in the down bar if this sounds like something you feel like picking up. Obviously it's available on all of the normal websites like Amazon, Waterstones, everything like that, but like I said, I'll leave links down below. And that's it for me today. I hope you've enjoyed my video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!